the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Today is our second show for 5 days a week in the new noon to 1 o'clock slot. And today, Bob isn't with me, although he might be joining us later, but I do have Kevin here with me.
Howdy, yeah. Happy First Tuesday show.
Yeah, happy First Tuesday show. So for those of you who are just new to the show, especially in the new time frame, this show used to be 2 days a week, 1 to 2, and now we've moved up in time slots here, and Kevin has filled in for me a number of times when I've been unavailable, so he is very familiar with the show, and I'm glad he's here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we want to give a shout out to everybody listening in Newark on WAC. That airs 6 to 7 p.m. So they get to hear us while they're in their cars driving home from work. And hopefully we're not making their drive worse. We'll see.
So let's try not to increase the stress of their drive.
Yeah.
Well, no, we probably will talking about stuff today.
Yeah. Everything we're going to talk about today is not going to make the traffic feel any better. But before we do, I just want to talk about Thanksgiving real quick because I totally missed out on that yesterday. I think I was just so excited about show number 1 that I totally glazed over just how awesome Thanksgiving was. And I don't know, what did you do for Thanksgiving, Kevin?
We went to stay with my parents out in the Utica, Rome area.
Oh, great.
So ran a little 5K, little turkey trot. Got out
nice.
There.
Okay, very cool. Sweet. No, chicken and riggies, turkey and riggies.
Turkey and riggies, the traditional Utica
food. Is that the Utica food there?
No, way too much. Sweet potatoes, turkey, stuffing, all that stuff. You know, we had all that. And
awesome. Yeah, so did we. It's kind of funny. We're planning Thanksgiving dinner, and I feel like my family, we always tend to overdo it, you know, and so I've spent the last few years trying to get us to like downsize and minimize and stuff. And we've been really, really good, less and less leftovers. And this last year, for whatever reason, everybody forgot about that. And so we're planning the food, and, you know, one person's like, hey, I've got turkey. Hey, I've got potatoes. I'm going to do the casserole. I'm going to do this and that. And then out of nowhere, people are like, well, what about ham too? Shouldn't we have turkey and ham and, like, you know, maybe this and that? I was like, no, hold on.
See, you know what you need? You need a spreadsheet.
Yes.
So that's what my wife made. She's like, all right, no. This is get out of hand. Spreadsheet. This is what you're bringing. We're going to share a Google Sheet. It's nuts. It was very planned down to the finest detail.
Yes. See, that's how I like it, and luckily my aunt also enjoys it that way. So that's perfect. Actually, I know your wife likes spreadsheets too, because her and I have discussed spreadsheets and organization.
Yeah, I'm more like, let's just wing it.
Which is how my wife is. She's like, yeah, let's go on a trip to some other country. Let's not plan anything and just see what happens. You know, we needed a visa. Crap, we just found out at the border. You know, so
roll with it.
So anyways, as those of you who are listening on the live stream right now, you can see the title of today's show, which is we're going to be talking about New York State budgeting $100 million of taxpayer funds to publicly fund elections here in New York State, which I see as a pretty big issue. We're going to get Kevin's take on it too. And but I want to tell you guys how this came about first. So if you guys heard the show yesterday, you know, but let me give you guys just a real brief recap on how this came about, what's happening, so you guys have some background on it, and then we're going to jump right into it. So Cuomo essentially put together a new public campaign finance commission, or a campaign finance commission. And these were all appointed individuals. The people appointed to this commission, none of them are elected, and they are all, with the exception of two, very heavily tied to the Democratic Party in New York. Just to give like brief background, the chairman of the commission is also just happens to be the state Democratic Party chair.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, no conflict of interest there. Then they've got a campaign manager for a bunch of Democratic campaigns, the attorney who created the Democratic Lawyers Council, a former Bronx Democratic commissioner, chief diversity officer of the city of Buffalo, and the list kind of goes on and on. So clearly they went out to the people and got unbiased individuals who cared about campaign finance. Oh wait, no, they didn't do that at all. They chose their buddies. That is the New York State way. And so essentially this commission was given a pretty substantial amount of power. Essentially, whatever they come up with automatically becomes law unless the legislature gets together and repeals it.
Yeah, before the end of the month, too. So they've got to declare a special session before Christmas, get everyone together, and then say, no, this doesn't become law, which seems backwards to me.
Yeah, and especially these people weren't elected, so they are in no way a representative of the people at all. So I personally have a huge process with this, and this doesn't have to be campaign finance. I mean, this could be regulating dog collars or whatever New York State wants. It's totally not representative of the people. And actually, something that I didn't think to looking at this list, with the exception of the diversity officer from Buffalo, I don't believe there's a single upstate person on this commission. So that's, just kind of goes to show that, in terms of Governor Cuomo, in terms of the state legislature, we're basically chopped liver up here in New York State.
Yeah, who cares?
So, yeah. So there's the intro. There's the backstory. And this $100 million for campaign financing, publicly funded campaigns, is not the only thing that they did. There's a few other things that they did that maybe we'll talk about later in the week. But things like creating a state mandated election holiday with 3 hours of paid time off to vote. I haven't seen where that paid time off is coming from, but my guess is from the employer's pocket. Yep. And if not, just all of our pockets.
Or, general taxpayer funds.
Yep. Then another $10 million for early voting, which I am not opposed to early voting, but I think it should be one or the other. Yeah. And so I
agree. Like if you're going to be doing early voting, then you should be able to manage your time and find time to vote.
Exactly.
Why do you need paid time off to be able to do that?
Yep. It allows for things like same-day voter registration. They also allows advanced voter registration, which I'm not sure what that means. My guess is it has something to do with like DMV being able to update your records on the fly. They
probably something like that. I know.
Just want it to sound really cool. So those are just a few of the things. I'm sure there's a lot more. What I'm going to do for those of you who are listening online right now, I'm going to actually post the link in the comments for you guys so you can see this report that they published. And also, as I'm looking at the comments here, I just want to give a shout out to a few of you. I see you guys are starting to comment here in the feed. So thank you so much for joining us, Michelle, Dan, Tony, Nate. If you guys are listening to the show right now, definitely hop over on social media, go to our Facebook page, Andrew C. Hollister, or to the YouTube page, which is also Andrew C. Hollister. You can jump on the live stream, ask questions as we're on the show, and I will check them on the break, and we'll address your comments and questions when we come back. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations
has been helping Santa fill his sleigh, making happier holidays for deserving children right in your community. Go to toysfortots.org and learn how you can make a difference.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. We are the biggest towing company in New York State, but we do a lot more than just towing. We will tow just about anything, but we will also repair just about anything as well. We offer a courtesy shuttle and pickup. We offer a drop box service. We have all these amenities that we've put in place to make sure that every one of our customers can receive the best service possible. Please give us an opportunity to win your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating.
Yeah, we do MP3. That's our standard.
Or isn't achieving your goals? Give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. This is day 2 of us on our 5-day-a-week show, and I've got Kevin Wilson here with me in studio.
Yep. So we're talking about the new public campaign financing system.
We are, and it is going to be a disaster, as we expect with most things coming from government, and definitely things coming from New York State government. But before we hit that, I do want to give a shout out to somebody. That is Jeanette. I want to thank you. She joined on to our Patreon yesterday to support the show. So, Jeanette, thank you so much. I do want to give just a brief plug to the Patreon. You know, if you enjoy Radio Free New York and you want to keep the show going and you feel that it gives you some value, head over to patreon.com/RFNY, stands for Radio Free New York, and consider subscribing to support the show. I put up some unique stuff that's on there for people who subscribe that you won't get anywhere else. And it's a great way for you to just help us out, help us keep the show going. So, Jeanette, thank you so much. Now back to some less than desirable news, which is New York State. Those of you who are just joining the show, we're talking about the $100 million that is now in the New York State budget to publicly fund campaigns. Yeah. And it's not good.
Yeah. And so, you know, I want to outline like what progressives who like campaign finance think this is going to do, right? Yeah. So what they think this is going to do is they think this is going to help get money out of politics by lowering the thresholds for the maximum donations that are allowed, which they are going to do sort of in here, and then supplementing candidates who might otherwise struggle to connect with big donors with taxpayer money, which means, of course, that you're going to be funding many candidates that you don't like. But in their minds, that's enhancing democracy.
But also, I just want to point this out. They want to take money out of politics by putting money into politics.
Funny how that works.
I just wanted to, state that out loud and slowly for everybody to hear.
So I'm trying to give a good faith argument here. Like this is what they think they're doing. They're wrong, but this is what they think they're doing. They think they're helping. They're not. Guys, you're not. But here's what it is they want to help out the small candidate who's grassroots and somehow is going to be able to rise above the big corporate interest to be able to win elections for the people.
Yeah. And I do want to bring up something. Actually, Nate commented on Facebook about this, which is something I brought up earlier in the week. And I do want to bring this up again because it is so important to say. So Nate says, so with publicly funded campaigns, they will now take money out of my paycheck to support Cuomo's campaign. Even though I disagree with everything he stands for, I would rather give the money to somebody like Larry Sharpe, who I support. And big shout out to Larry Sharpe.
Yeah.
Yep. No, absolutely. So I personally think that there is actually a constitutional challenge to this right off the bat, which is this takes away your freedom of association. This takes funds out of your paycheck and allocates them to somebody who has potentially no beliefs with you. You have no say in who you're funding and associating with.
Yeah. So why should I fund candidates like Andrew Cuomo? Why should I fund candidates like if Chris Collins wasn't being indicted and moving to Florida? Why should I fund candidates like him? Why should I fund someone that I fundamentally disagree with?
Yeah. And I think that's a big issue here because in the event that nobody's running who you agree with, you probably then would just donate to nobody. You wouldn't take money out of your pocket and give it to any of the campaigns. New York State is now, unless this gets repealed, which is seeming unlikely right now, I think they've got 12 more days or something like that. It was 20 days from the date they released it, and I think
was it 20 days from the day they released the initial report or the final report, which I think came out Sunday night?
That's a good question. We'll say we have 20 days or less, folks.
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a ton of time.
There's not much time for our state legislature to get together, which to me they should get together today and they should say, nope, we're repealing it. We're pulling this whole thing. This wasn't representative of the people. I think there's some constitutional issues here. It should be gone. I suspect they won't.
Yeah. So now, Nate, who had commented, he said that he would like, his money to go to Larry Sharpe. Would Larry Sharpe be able to qualify for the donation thresholds under this public campaign financing option? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So that's a really good point because you brought up a point, where the progressives think this should go or what it should do, and that is to take money out of politics, keep big donors out of politics, and kind of help out the little guy, the minority voices, actually bring some impact, bring people's voices. I think this does the exact opposite.
Yeah, no, this, I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag. This ain't going to do that. This is absolutely just going to go and fund Democratic and Republican candidates. This will not fund independent candidates. And that is by design. And we'll get to that a little bit more later, but that is by design. So let's just talk about the qualifying thresholds for this. So I got it open right now. I'll read it off. So for gubernatorial candidates to be able to qualify for matching funds, they would need to get at least $500,000 in in-state donations from at least 5,000 donors to qualify the program. For the other statewide offices, they would need to get $100,000 from at least 1,000 donors. And then for legislative candidates for state senate, they would need to get $12,000 from 150 donors. And state assembly candidates would need to get $6,000 from at least 75 donors. So that's what the thresholds are.
So all of you third-party candidates out there who want to run for any office, the qualifying factor is 6 figures.
Yeah.
So we're taking money out of politics, Kevin.
Yeah, right. So you need to already have raised over six figures from any of these offices. And, you know, and I was Larry's fundraising director. I know how tough this is firsthand. I was one of the guys doing it. And third-party candidates to be able to get that kind of momentum is tough. Now, a well-connected candidate like Andrew Cuomo or one of the Republican candidates for statewide office, they can raise that fairly quickly. And then the state is going to match those funds. They are going to increase their total, giving them an even greater advantage in this system.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and here's the interesting thing. So as I read this, I look at something like, you know, the 500,000 or the 100,000 limits, right? Those are huge dollar amounts just in general, you know. But then I look a little bit further and I see that number has to be donations of $250 or less, which tells me there's only one person getting that money. Because if you look at the Republicans, sure, will they raise over $500,000? Absolutely. What's the average donation going to be? $1,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
So none of that money is going to be matched, guys. So if you're sitting here thinking that you're a Republican or a conservative and that your buddy is safe and that this is only going to impact small minor parties like the Greens, the Independents, the Libertarian Party, you're wrong. What you're going to find is your candidate that you support is not going to get this money. However, their opponent, if you live in a heavily blue district, I'm thinking places like Monroe County, where, you know, we've got the city of Rochester, definitely downstate for sure. Those Democratic candidates, they're going to get the money out of your paycheck. Nobody else is going to see it. I think the Republicans will in some places. And if they do the right thing, they take that money and give it back to the taxpayers.
Armando.
Not accept it.
Canandaigua.
But in general, I think only Democratic candidates are going to get it.
And do it. And it's 6-1 too for that match. Yeah. $250, you get 6 times that.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it sounds like we've got a caller on the line. He's from Canandaigua. I missed the
Armando.
Armando, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, my assemblyman is Brian Kolb. He's the minority leader. And I heard about this news right around Thanksgiving. So I'm going to urge people, contact your assemblyman, because according to what I've been told, a special session has to be called by either Carl Heastie, which is the Speaker of the Assembly, or our Governor, Cuomo. So what I'm hoping is that if you rattle your assembly person, that maybe they can urge Heastie to call a special session so they can act on this illegal usurpation of our elections. Because I didn't vote for anybody on any committee to make law. I voted for Brian Kolb to make law. He's my legislator.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And, you know, that is the issue with this commission is none of us had any say in this whatsoever. And I tell you what, too, if Carl Heastie and Governor Cuomo are the only two that can call this special election or the special session, I think that's a big problem for us as well, because I don't see either of them doing that. Thank you so much for your call. Guys, we are going to take a short break here, and but jot down this number while you're listening to the ads. That's 585-346-3000. If you guys have questions or comments and you want to call into the show, I'd love to hear from you. 585-346-3000. We'll be back on Radio Free New York in a moment.
the power. WYSL. More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Tonight, clouds roll in, and we do have a few scattered showers in the forecast for tomorrow. We could see anywhere from about a 1 to 2 inch range of snowfall for tomorrow. And it looks like the same thing for Thursday. Scattered snow showers in the forecast, not expecting heavy accumulation. This temperatures tomorrow in the 30s as well. Next chance of a warm-up or temperatures closer to average will be on Sunday. This is Samantha LaRocca with WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Camp Good Days is once again, with the help of Vanderstein Toyota and Toyota Motor Company, hosting a car raffle. Tickets are 1 for $20 or 3 for $50. And if you win, you receive a 2020 Toyota Corolla SE. All of the proceeds from the car raffle benefit the children and families of Camp Good Days. The winning ticket will be pulled on February 15th, 2020 at the Teddy Dance for Love. Get your tickets now by calling the Camp Good Days office at 585-624-5555 or visit our website at campgooddays.org.
Are you procrastinating locking down your Medicare plan? You're running out of time. The clock is ticking on the coverage you need. Deadline is December 7th. Call Glassbergen Insurance Services. Terry Glassbergen is your trusted expert and your one-stop shop. Whether you need Medicare Advantage, a supplement, or a prescription drug plan, you've still got time to get the best plan to fit your needs, but you have to call now. Call Terry at 585-455-2356. That's 455-2356.
This is attorney Paul Simonelli. At the Wolford Law Firm, we're believers in the Second Amendment and your God-given right to keep and bear arms. We also understand the complex rules and restrictions imposed by the SAFE Act and other New York gun laws. We can advise you in applying for a concealed carry pistol permit, and while hopefully you won't need it, representation in the event of attempted revocation or suspension. We're proud to represent responsible gun owners. The Wolford Law Firm, 16 East Main Street in Rochester. Call 325-8000 or visit wolfordfirm.com.
Did you know that alcohol-related motor vehicle crashes kill someone every 30 minutes and non-fatally injure someone every 2 minutes? Sheriff Thomas Doherty would like to remind everyone to really think when they drink. Do not drive if you have been drinking. Do not let someone else drive that has been drinking. If you must have a drink, make sure you eat food while drinking. Also, you should space your drinks to 1 an hour or drink non-alcoholic beverages. Make the smart decision and remember to think safe and drive sober.
Imani, time for school, baby. Imani, time for school. Imani, it's time.
A different couch, a different floor, the backseat of a car. Over 2,000 Rochester school-age children are homeless, but now there is hope. The Open Door Mission Cold Water House for moms and their children. OpenDoorMission.com/doves.
I'm Las from Action Towing and Service. We work on all makes and models. The technician or the service advisor will always inform you of what needs to be repaired and why, so you know how to budget each expense so that it fits your lifestyle. You spend a lot more money on fixing your car than you will on most things. The best thing to do is to have a good plan on fixing your car. Please give us an opportunity to win your business. Come down and visit us at 275 Marketplace Drive, right off of Jefferson Road.
Bob
jobs.
Last spot.
Avon Gun open 7 days a week. Avon Gun's your locally owned and operated gun shop specializing in pre-owned firearms and repairs. It's Christmas, time to get your favorite sportsman or woman something very special. Avon Gun in the village of Avon, 259 East Main Street.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I am here in studio with Kevin Wilson. We are celebrating our second day of a 5-day-a-week show. And to celebrate, we're sharing with you how much the New York State legislator and Governor Cuomo are taking out of your pockets to fund their campaigns.
Before we get to that, I do want to do a quick plug for, we now have a SoundCloud account.
Oh, yes.
So, yes, Radio Free New York now is on SoundCloud. So I know we got a few comments the other day asking about podcasts. And so now you have the ability to be able to subscribe in any podcast app. If you go to soundcloud.com/Radio Free New York, get the full thing. I couldn't get RFNY. Someone else took it. Sorry. Yeah. So you go there, you'll see the Radio Free New York logo in the profile picture, but they have an RSS feed that you can subscribe to, and we can post about that in a little bit as well. So if you have a podcasting app, you're not able to catch our live show, and we love having you at the live show, I'm sure.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Because you get, I know Andrew loves the comments and everything that come in, and he likes being able to answer those. But if you can't do that, it's okay. We still love you. Go to our SoundCloud account, soundcloud.com/Radio Free New York. Subscribe there. Get the RSS feed in your podcast. Catch up with the show later.
Yeah. And I do hear from a bunch of you that constantly say, hey, I can't listen to it till the next day or till late at night because your work schedule is not, a typical 9 to 5. So that's a great way to do it.
Also, WYSL1040.com.
Yep. And you can go to the WYSL1040.com as well and get them there. I know WYSL will be happy if you pop over there. But I would also say if you're listening on podcast and you decide that you do have a question or a comment or you want to contribute to the conversation, send me a message about it. I love hearing from you guys, like Kevin said. And I probably got 2 or 3 messages just in the last day, people asking some questions that I'm hoping to incorporate in the next few shows. A couple of requests for somebody that they want to hear on air, which is great. So if you have somebody who's elected or running for office and you want to have us grill them on the air, send them our way. We'd be happy to talk about them and how they hope to impact New Yorkers, especially if their idea of impacting New Yorkers is leaving us all alone.
I like that.
Yeah, we definitely would approve and enjoy that. So what we're talking about right now, we are talking about New York now has $100 million in the budget to essentially give to people running for office. This money comes out of your paycheck. It comes out of my paycheck. It also comes out of some other weird places.
What they say they're going to do is they're going to have one of those check boxes to be able to fund the election.
Something like fund. Well, so it's interesting because they're talking about taking it from the finance check, but then also abandoned property funds, the general fund, all these little places.
It's gonna be all over.
They're just kind of like, a little money here, I'll take and scoop that up. Oh, hey, here's the money here. Oh, your paycheck? Sure, let me take some of that.
New York State is great at managing its finances, and nothing will go wrong with this, right?
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I think the best way they could do this is follow the Rochester City School District model and just set a budget and then blow way past it and find out later that they lost $30 million.
Hey, maybe someone will bail them out.
Yeah. I wonder who that's going to be. Looking at my empty taxed wallet over here. The interesting thing about this is in talking to people, nobody seems to like this idea. In fact, everybody I've spoken to is totally opposed to it. Even my friends that would consider themselves on the left, they think it's a bad idea. So what made this commission think it was a good idea? I'm not sure. Because in their own report, they literally did a poll, and it says that people don't like this.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the report, or if you want to look up the report layers, on page 62, they have a section called Public Skepticism. And in that section, they cite a Siena survey of 735 registered voters conducted in April of this year about the campaign financing. And it asked them if they would support funding a system of public campaign financing for statewide and legislative races, and only 23% supported that proposal, while 63% opposed.
Yeah, those aren't good numbers.
No. So in their own report, there is an overwhelming consensus that this is a bad idea.
Yeah,
and yet we plow ahead.
Even with a margin of error, the majority, a clear majority of New Yorkers says, no, this is a bad idea. And what did the body do? They said, well, it's not really our job to represent the people. Yeah. It's our job to represent the Democratic Party in New York.
That's right. And I do want to make clear in that the last line says, moreover, with small variations, that view was held across all political, regional, ethnic, religious, and economic groups. So this isn't just a more Republicans answered that survey type of thing, or, independents answered the survey. It's across all groups.
Kevin, are we saying that we all agree on something?
I think we do.
That's really impressive. So the people of New York came together. I mean, relatively small sample size, but we set aside politics, religion, ethnic, and economic everything, and we agreed this is an awful, terrible idea, and it shouldn't happen. And these guys said, we know better than you guys.
New York State won't let a little thing like public opinion get in its way.
No.
Who cares? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, exactly. Clearly, what people won't do is they won't vote Governor Cuomo out of office. However, with this happening, it's going to become pretty difficult, for anybody to compete once this next election rolls around. Now, I find very interesting still on this report, now on page 63, I find it really interesting that their next section, which is examples of the potential for wasting taxpayer dollars.
Yes.
And, you got to hand it to them. They did their research for us. We did not have to work hard this time.
I appreciate, and maybe I'm perhaps surprised by the honesty. So they lay it all out there that there's a huge potential for wasting taxpayer dollars. Now, the way they describe the waste is really interesting. I don't know if you want to read any of that off, but...
Yeah, I found it interesting. So they looked at the New York City Public Advocate special election, and they looked at there being 17 candidates made on the ballot. 11 of them qualified for taxpayer funding. And here's where they start to show their true colors, by the way, in this situation, because they already start to say, okay, well, 6 didn't qualify. So what does that mean? That means this is an exclusionary system right off the bat. This isn't, we're going to help all the candidates. This isn't, we're going to help the underdogs compete with corporate interests. No, they didn't qualify because they just weren't popular enough. They didn't raise enough funds, so therefore they don't get extra funds.
Well, if they got those funds, would they have been more popular?
Yeah, well, and it's interesting, once again, taking money out of politics, the ones with the most money get more money, not the ones with the least money get more money. So this is already backwards on their ideals. So it goes on to say those 11 candidates combined spent over $7.1 million of taxpayer money. More than half of them received about $550,000 each, most of them earning just 2% of the vote in an election that brought out just it's about over 100,000 voters, a 2.3% turnout overall.
Yeah, because a lot of people, progressives, assume that a campaign financing system like this would increase voter turnout as well.
Yeah. Which it did not.
No, it didn't.
It didn't. And it cost us a wild amount of money. And I say us, but really the people of New York City, because I think this fund specifically came into New York City. So what this means is for $7.1 million, you got a 2.3% voter turnout and only 100,000 voters. That's an issue, guys. That's a big issue. I think the report is making the case for us. This was a terrible, terrible, wasteful idea. So we're going to be back in a moment. We're going to take our final break of the hour, and then we'll return to talk just a little bit more about this committee and what they've done. We'll be back on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
This Christmas, go green, get real. Want to be good to the earth? Real Christmas trees benefit the environment. They are farmed sustainably, and when recycled, they are biodegradable. Real Christmas trees are grown locally. Get a real Christmas tree, fragrant and farm fresh, direct from the Christmas tree farmers of New York State. Find a cut-your-own farm or pre-cut tree at www.christmastreesny.org. This Christmas, go green, get real. This message brought to you by the Christmas tree farmers of New York State. Online at christmastreesny.org.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance.
Last spot.
Work safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. I have Kevin here with me in studio.
Hello.
And we were just talking throughout the whole hour. We've been talking about the $100 million being, put in the New York State budget to fund campaigns of candidates you may or may not support, taking away your freedom of association. And the last part that we just talked about, we talked about Kevin back
the waste of taxpayer dollars in the New York City public advocate election. Now, they're kind of saying the quiet part out loud here, because what they say, the reason why they wasted those taxpayer dollars is not only that they didn't increase the turnout, but they are also frustrated with the fact that it went to independent candidates. It went to small-time candidates who they don't consider legitimate.
Yep.
And again, isn't that kind of the point? Or is the point of this system to just fund the Democrats?
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the point of the system here?
So a reoccurring theme that seems to be coming up very frequently in this latest legislative session is that we're under single party rule right now in New York State, is the Democrats and the Democrats. And everything that they've done so far with this budget has been very much along the lines of, if you don't agree with us, you are wrong. Your voice doesn't matter. A lot of the moves they have made are taking away people's freedom of choice and freedom of association. So here what they're saying is, these candidates each only got about 2% of the vote. That doesn't matter. Those of you who are 2% of the population, you shouldn't have a voice. You shouldn't have a say. We need to get rid of this. It's a waste. So your voice, those of you who, let's see, it says more than half of those candidates, most earning just 2%, which means a few more of them earn more than that. Yeah. So if we take the half, we'll call it 5 candidates, we'll give each of them 2%, just to say 10% is what you get to.
There's a libertarian in that election too who got like 3%.
There you go. So we're talking.
I'm not sure if he actually got funds, but
yeah, no, probably not. Let's look at the rules, Kevin. You're clearly, if you're a libertarian, you're not allowed. So we'll call it 10%, but we'll say maybe as high as 15%. So essentially what this report is saying, their opinion and their analysis on this is to say that 10 to 15% of the population, your voice doesn't matter because you're not the majority, and therefore you should not be assisted, you should not be helped. The ones carrying, more popularity, the ones who have more money, their voice matters more than yours.
Yeah. And that's really what it's all about. And to be clear, I don't think either of us are defending this system. We're just calling the progressive hypocrites here. Because,
absolutely.
Again, I don't want any campaign financing at all. But, if you're going to establish this idea that we should be helping to support independent candidates break out above the corporate funded candidates or whatever, or at least do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This whole thing needs to be repealed. That is my position. This is wrong. It's unconstitutional. It violates my rights and everybody else's in the state of New York. It needs to go. But I'm very happy to point out the inconsistencies and how they're essentially going back on their words and what they're saying by implementing this.
Yeah. And so with that last section that we read off, it brings us to the next part of the bill that also has us, or not bill, this report that will become law. Yeah. That has me concerned. I'm involved with the Libertarian Party, and it threatens the ballot status of all minor parties in New York State because they've increased the threshold for being able to become a party, which makes it easier for us to get candidates on the ballot. All right. So, and we talked about those qualifications earlier, 130,000 votes or 2%, whichever's greater in both the presidential election, and this is going to start next year, it sounds like, or the gubernatorial election. So it'd be every 2 years instead of every 4 years. Now, that part about the waste of taxpayer dollars, this is ostensibly why they're doing that. But here's the thing. Being on the ballot as a third party does not by itself qualify you to receive these matching funds anyway.
Yeah.
And as we kind of
the goals.
Yeah. As we kind of indicated before, it would have been, I don't even know if Larry would have qualified for this matching fund based on the donations and where they came from and how many he got. And if he did qualify, it would have been towards later in the election. Yeah, it would have been a huge advantage to Cuomo or to Mark Molinaro, who would have gotten that money earlier.
Who's that last guy? Yeah. I don't know who that is.
Marky Mark over there. Yeah. So it would have helped out people like that. I mean, Cuomo's fine. He's got he's got $8 million still, but it wouldn't have helped Larry. It wouldn't have helped Howie Hawkins, who didn't even come anywhere close to that.
No.
It doesn't help these third party candidates, and they make this argument that these third parties would have qualified for matching taxpayer funds, but that's just objectively not true. You can look at what the campaign disclosure reports were, and almost none of these candidates would have even come close So why raise that threshold? Why build the justification for raising that threshold when there's nothing there? There's no substance to that. All they're trying to do is eliminate competition and drive taxpayer money into the pockets of their campaign staff.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
No, definitely. So literally all this is them saying, how do we get rid of the competition? You know, oh no, crap, people are starting to get upset and fed up with what we are doing. How do we prevent that from happening? Okay. We'll make sure that they don't have a party. Let's raise how hard it is to vote or to get on the ballot. So not only do you have to reach 130,000 votes, but it's 130,000 votes or 2% of that election, whichever is greater. So it could actually be significantly higher than 130,000 votes. And if you miss it, just one of those 2 years, then to get on the ballot, you need 45,000 signatures to get your name on the ballot.
Which, if you've ever done independent nominating petitions, and boy, have I, it is not easy to collect that many, because really you need 2 or 3 times that.
Easy.
And in the 2018 election, we had to do an independent nominating petition. It was 15,000 signatures to get on the statewide ballot, and we got about 45,000. And we were fine there. But it is a lot of hard work. It's grueling. And now I don't know if the timeline is going to be changing with that too. If they're going to be shifting that forward some.
Could be. Yeah. So, and there's a lot going on here. As I read through the various requirements, you know, the other thing that they put in here is they say since 94 there have been 7 elections, you know, where there have been 5 to 10 individual candidates. What you see through this report is their true colors, which is they want to limit the number of people who can run for office.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
And now there is part of the report that complains about like minor parties that kind of latch on to the major parties, right?
Sure.
So I mean,
fusion voting.
This is about fusion voting. They want to attack the Working Families Party. We know Cuomo doesn't like the Working Families Party, so there's a section in there that kind of attacks that. But I don't think this report. I don't think they actually eliminates fusion voting. Now, someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see anything in here about that. I haven't seen any reports about that. I think they've just raised the threshold for what constitutes a minor party. So parties like the Working Families Party might still get it as a fusion candidate. It's just going to eliminate the Libertarian, or make it harder, not eliminate, you know, I'm not counting ourselves out yet, but the Libertarian, the Greens, the Sam Party, and any of these other like actual independent parties.
See, I don't think so, because they're not going to run a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
So Greens and Libertarians are probably the only 2 running a presidential candidate. I don't see...
They confuse.
Huh?
Actually,
I don't think they can do fusion for a national election. Well, we're going to have to find out.
You can. You've got to select the same slate of electors is what you've got to do, though, because Gary Johnson ran into that problem in 2016 in New York because the Independence Party cross-endorsed him, but they picked a different slate of electors. You know, and you don't elect a president directly. You elect electors, which means that if Gary Johnson had
1 minute
pulled it off to get both the Libertarian and independent votes together bigger than the vote total for Hillary Clinton, he still would have lost.
Yeah.
Because
there's just
he would be splitting the vote.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you guys can do about this. So what you can do is go online, figure out who your state senator is, figure out who your assembly person is, pick up the phone, call their office, tell them to repeal this, both of them. Then don't stop there. Email their office and write a letter.
Yeah, do all those.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on Radio Free New York. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about something totally different, so this doesn't sound like the budget show 5 days a week. But I will join you tomorrow, same time.
You're clear.